Mike.
I jumped the gun. I'm sorry.
We just cut a promo that was pretty strenuous.
That was very entertaining,
Yeah.
to say the least.
How many takes was it?
It was a lot.
12, 15?
I had to take a break. I only
He
had
had to
like
go take a
3
pee
minutes.
break.
All right, so we ain't gonna bore y'all no more with all the behind the scenes stuff, but so I can't remember if it's this committee's request, but we decided we're gonna pick our top 5 albums from 1991.
The year I graduated.
Yeah, I think this was actually might have been the year Love graduated too. I think we'd done something similar to this with him. I think we done a bracket or something. But so I called him, got on the phone with Mike, figured he's with us, so he was listening to some metal probably pretty.
Oh, yeah. Yes.
I know when I looked at the list, I kind of hurt his feelings.
Yeah.
he had to pull it
Two
in.
albums on there, probably.
Yeah, did you have to do 2 albums or just
Just
one?
the first one was one that came to 81, 91 came to mine.
I thought maybe the other greatest hits was
The
on.
Decade of
Yeah.
Decadence.
Yeah.
That's when he's like, it took that from me.
But yeah, we decided, I guess our rule with this is no greatest hits, no live albums for the year.
And
But
there was a couple greatest hits compilation, I guess, kind of ones in there too. I don't know, was there a live? I don't remember if there was any live ones in there. I think it might have been 1 or 2 live ones in there.
yeah, I can't.
I'm just kind of like quickly rolling through here real quick.
Well, and I had some of the. Well, they had like. I'm not even prepared. But,
Oh
anyway,
yeah, Poison, Swallow This Live. That was one I remember.
which is actually a pretty. Have you ever heard that?
Oh, I wore that cassette out, man.
Pretty good. And even
that was-
the
that was
bonus
a-
tracks, they had like a couple bonus tracks that were pretty decent.
Slayer's Decade of Aggression was on that year too. That was
And-
a live album.
And I forgot we had done some participation with this. It's been so long ago that we had done, but I guess you may go down through read what some.
No, I was
some
gonna say you
people
got it
wrote.
ready. If not, I was gonna go read off some events that happened that year.
But we had a lot of participation for this. But we had a John Bigham. He said it was the year before he got married. From my perspective, flirting with disaster, but it was a lot earlier than that. Brian Chris put Pearl Jam's 10, Temple of the Dog, and my absolute favorite, Skid Row's Slave to the Grind.
Good album too.
Our good buddy Lil Wing, Fumi put No More Tears. And Sean Bowman put Yes Sir. Tyler Anderson put Pearl Jam's 10 and Nirvana Nevermind. And Josh Whittington put Nirvana Nevermind. John Page put The Black One.
The black one.
Well, everybody knows what that is. Robert Ford put Pearl Jam 10. Mike May put Kicks, Hot Wire, Armored Saints, Symbol of Salvation, XYZ Hungry, which XYZ's Hungry is a good album if y'all have never checked it out. He said just to name a few. And Amanda Regelman put Love, 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 XYZ.
There you go.
So I guess that tells you where she feels about that album. And Brian Weaver put, it was a great year, full of metal. Nobody else will say it. Metallica's Black Album. And John Page said, I did.
I was gonna say that's probably make a lot of people's lists.
But Derek Tyree put Pearl Jam 10. He said, girl let me borrow it, told me to give it a listen. Plus she was hot. And the Black
That's
Album.
always
Yeah, that's always a plus.
It is always a plus. Jerry Lambert put Sepultura, Rise, hands down to me. Cannibal Corpse, Tomb of the Mutilated, Motorhead, 1916. Ozzy, No More Tears, and also Billy's Pick, of course. Metallica's Black Album, which I picked up at Pawn Shop for $5. Randy Hartman put No More Tears, Cannibal Corpse, Tomb of the Mutilated, Armor Saints, Symbol of Salvation. Stacey Rogers put Typo Negative, Slow, Deep, and Hard. Mike McKay put Skid Row's Slave to the Grind and Ozzy's No More Tears. David Johnson put Overkill's Horoscope. And Mike Griever put Damn Good Great Year for a Lot of Genres.
Oh yeah.
It said Nirvana's Nevermind, Metallica's Black Album, but But my favorite of the year was Primal Scream. Screamadelkia? Delky?
Screamadel. Okay, yeah.
Was that even on their list?
And then Fred put Overkill's Horoscope, followed close by the Black Album. A lot of participation there.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody joined in for the
That was
whole
a good,
year
that
of
good list
91.
of albums on there too.
Yeah, and when
Except
we,
for that one that Mike said, I don't know, but I don't even know what that is.
then we but I know that when I printed it out, there was a lot of
Oh
good
my
stuff
goodness,
that
it
came
was a
out,
pile of stuff.
and that's why it was so hard to go through and pick out. I'm just gonna read over some of the stuff that happened
Oh look,
in '91.
I'm just gonna toss that one to the back.
Did you know '91 was the year CC got fired?
Is that when Native Tongue came out? Or did it come out in 92? That came out in 92, didn't it?
No, yeah.
That came out in
was
92.
With
With
Cox.
and then he nailed
Yeah.
Ricky's
Rock.
woman.
Yeah, and they frowned on that.
Yeah, they didn't like that. Wasn't big. They
didn't
weren't
like
big on
too
that.
much.
But that was when they done Unskinny Bop and CC was all coked out of his mind. And you remember
It was on MTV.
Yeah, he went into a different song.
They went and talked dirty to me. I remember when that
They
happened.
slugged it out right behind the curtain.
Yeah.
That was when, and that was the same year Freddie Mercury dies of AIDS. So I guess it's the same time Eric Carr died too then.
Yep.
Because they died on the same day.
Yeah, that's a little further down the list.
Steve Clark dies on January 8th of that year. That was a big loss there. Wow, streams more than words hit #1 on American mainstream. Black Album became first album by a thrash metal band to go #1. Guns N' Roses set a record with both the Illusions album debuted in 1 and 2 in The Monsters in Moscow, featuring AC/DC, the Black Crowes, not sure who EST is, Metallica, and Pantera. Tell me that would be
Europe
good.
made 5 albums.
Yeah,
Good Lord.
but that would, can you imagine that show
They got
AC/DC?
now.
But that's
5
weird.
too many.
If they went in that order, which they might not because they got them on that order. I can't even imagine Pantera being the first band and then
yeah.
Metallica. You're
No.
kind of like, they have to be the other way around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was kind of some of the stuff that happened in '91. But we decided to do our top 5. Y'all want to just do them one by one like we usually do?
Yeah,
You want
let's
to start
do
at
that.
5? Or is everybody got them in order, or are they
I
just
got
kind of there? Mine's in a
as
semi-order.
close of order that I
Yeah.
can come up with.
My #1 is my #1.
Right. You want to go #1 down, or you want to go down up?
We'll start at the bottom of the list and go up, or 5 to 1.
5. All right, so I'm going to go with the one everybody else picked, the famous No More Tears. I mean, great album. It is pretty much
Oh,
masterpiece.
it is. I mean,
I don't think there's anything bad on
Mr.
it.
Tinker Train is an awesome song.
That's a
one of
great
the best-
opening.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
That's a great opening song.
there's a lot of awesome songs on that album. I mean, you can't go wrong with that.
And I always say the best solo Zakk Wylde ever did
Oh, yeah.
was on that. But he talks about, a lot of people talk about, he talks about Mama Coming Home, but a lot of people talk about that solo, and that solo's over the top too. Zakk was just, he was just getting started. And you were getting a great taste of him, a second dose of him, which was, the first dose was awesome, and it just keeps getting better.
Yep.
But I'm with No More Tears.
I put #5 as Guns N' Roses' Use Your Illusion 1, which I can't believe no one said that. It was released, that's what here, September 17th.
Nobody mentioned either one of them.
No. I like Use Your Illusion 1 better than 2.
No, I'm not.
I'm the opposite.
So that's just me. But that's what I put as my #5.
All right, so my #5 is Night of the Storm Rider from Iced Earth. I love that album. There's phenomenal songs on there. It's top to bottom. I mean, it's awesome. I don't like that singer as much as I like Matt Barlow, but still, great album. Great songs on there.
Yeah, I don't know much about Iced Earth at all.
Well, that was
Just the
when we were
political
kind of
side.
talking to work. We were back and forth, like we're trying not to say what we were picking. But I told him, I was like, I know there's going to be one on my list that's not going to be on anybody else's list, and that was the one.
So I'm just gonna go number 4.
Number 4.
Now this is the one that's on my list. Probably not gonna be on nobody's. So as ugly as they want to be by Ugly Kid Joe. Great album. I mean, when I put it in the other day, when I did my list, I went through and sampled all my albums, and if you had a clunker, you was going.
Yeah,
that's why
pretty much what I did.
That's why Use Your Illusion 2 didn't make my countdown. Was My World.
Well,
that was the song. I was talking to him. That was the song done it for me. I don't like that song at all. I think it's a waste of just.
Yeah.
Of course, they had plenty of money to waste on this. But I mean, I listened to that Ugly Kid Joe, and I enjoyed that album, song for song, probably still as much today
good.
as I
That's
did when it
good.
first came
Yeah,
out.
it's a good album.
But that was my number 4 pick.
Number 4 was Then Were Tears.
I have a
So,
feeling this goes.
I'm going to cut you off there because my number 4 is that same thing.
Well, there we go.
Before we get too far involved in all
Right.
that.
And this is stuff that's
Beating
cool to
that dead
see
horse.
when it's good if it's
Yeah.
making all 3 of our countdowns.
Yeah. Well, that's not going to be the only one. I have a feeling.
Yeah, I have a feeling there's a lot on there too.
Haven't seen the other ones yet, but I have a feeling.
I think I'm going to bring number 3 out right now.
Uh-oh.
The Black Album.
All right.
How can you not? That album is done. It has made Metallica huge,
Oh, yeah.
super huge, and it's a great album. Song for song, it is a well-wrote album. I mean, all the planets lined up and everything when they did.
Well,
the Black Album.
and when we talked, I think I had already had it instilled in my head that I was not going to pick this album, along with a couple other albums. And then after you and I talked, you were thinking the same thing. Like, I was going to do my best to keep it out of it. But it's inevitable.
I mean,
it was going to end up.
we had talked about that. We was gonna, but how can you leave it off?
Right.
You can't.
That's right. My number 3 it hasn't been mentioned at all. Van Halen for Unlawful Carnal Knowledge, released
Yeah,
June
that's a good
17th, 91. Pound Cake
Oh,
is one of the
I love
most kick-ass Van Halen songs ever.
Well, even
It had Run Around,
Right
The Dream's
Now.
Over, Right Now.
oh, that's
I always thought
Great,
so, yeah.
great album. And I like Diamond Dave, but I thought Sammy was just a better singer than him.
The overall singer, yes.
I mean, he just was
Way better.
I like
Way better.
their stuff with Sammy probably better than with David Lee Roth.
it was a good album for them to release at that time.
Yeah.
It was a strong album for
Yeah,
them.
but yeah, it never made anybody's
Yeah,
as of yet. I don't know what y'all
It
picked,
it
but
didn't make mine.
I mean, I looked at it, but there was some other stuff.
I love that album.
I mean, I think it's good. It's probably not my favorite Van Halen album, but it's a strong one. I mean, I think most of their stuff, they've got a pretty strong catalog.
I think anything with Sammy from on was strong. The one album that was a flop was when what's his name
When
from Extreme.
Jerry
Yeah, that
Yeah.
was.
And I don't think that
was
was
terrible.
Oh my god, it was so bad.
that was Eddie's solo album.
Pretty much. All right, so my number 3 and my number 2, I kind of flip-flopping back and forth. I'm still kind of flip-floppy, but I'm just going to leave it as it is, how I wrote it down. Overkill's Horoscope. Awesome album. Damn good album.
That one got mentioned by
Some-
Fred
yeah.
and some other guy.
Yeah.
Somebody else. I can't remember.
And when I heard that, I was like,
So there was a little love for
little love.
Overkill.
Yes. Nobody had any love for Ice Earth, but I didn't expect that, so I'm okay with that. But
All right, so we're gonna go with my number 2, which is I couldn't even find this sucker on Spotify. I love this album, and I'm gonna go ahead and say it knocked Tesla out. It was the album that I decided because that was me and Stray talked about Tesla too. I love Tesla. Huge
Tesla, that one
fan.
almost made mine. Tesla's almost made mine.
But there wasn't enough hits on
couple
it. Well, it
clunkers on
wasn't, yeah, that's what it was. It was had a couple clunkers. Now it has some really good shit on it.
Oh, yeah.
like Song and Emotion, Call It What You Want,
Yeah.
Edison's Medicine.
Yep.
I mean, it has some good strong songs, but it has some stuff that's kind of.
yeah,
And as everybody knows, both those we're Crew fans, and I'm a Krabby fan all day long. I love Krabby, and the Scream, Let It Scream, that album kicks total ass.
that is a damn good album. And I think there was like 1 or 2 songs on there that were good, but they were like, it was enough to pull it out for me.
Now,
But it's still freaking awesome album.
You ever listen to the Scream?
No, I've never. I was going to say the same thing. I've never listened to it. It's pretty good.
Do you like Krabby's voice?
Yeah, I do. I mean, I do. I didn't think it was motley, but I liked. It was a good album. You know what I'm saying? Does that make sense?
Well, if you're like everybody else, and even Kip said, he didn't even give it a chance when it come out, but he said you listen to it to now, he's like, it's really good album.
Oh, it's
Yeah, it's a good album.
And I'd say of pretty much everything that's out there, it's one of that album has aged so well. It really sounds good now. It's such a, I mean, I think it's gotten better when you really get into Motley Crue. I mean, because you really hear Tommy's playing
Right.
over the top on there. Everything about that, the musicianship, them guys played their ass off on that album. But yeah, I'm going with old Krabby, the Scream, Let's Scream. I'll have to get you, because you can't get on Spotify. So
You can YouTube it, I'm sure.
yeah,
it might be on there.
I went with the Skids, Slave to the Grind.
I wondered if you was
It
going.
was a great album. What a great second album.
Oh,
What a great follow up album. You know what I mean?
Them first
Yeah.
two songs. ripped
It was
your head
his.
off.
Oh yeah,
It's
yeah. It was
great.
heavy,
Great
it's heavier.
opening.
You know, Mud Kicker is one of my favorite songs
See,
on
now,
that.
I know.
I
a lot
love
of people
Mud.
talk
I
about
love
that,
Mud
like-
Kicker.
Like I'm not much on that. I'm not much on Chain Gang.
I like
and,
Chain Gang.
Is that the
Quicksand Jesus.
Now
I like that. Yeah.
Wasted Time. I like
Wasted
that.
Time.
What's that?
Monkey
Saw
Business.
My-
Slave to the
Saw My
Ground.
Woman on the. It's like his
Creep Show.
the talk where she.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I'm seeing now. There's like stuff like that, but then you got like Monkey Business,
Slave to the Grind is-
awesome.
yeah.
And like I said, Quicksand Jesus, Wasted Time. I mean, that's kind of like the Tesla album. There's some kick-ass shit on there, but then there's some stuff.
Well, it's like when I pulled out the stuff that I thought, all right, these are going to be, I put these in higher priority over top of all these other ones, because going through the list, I just marked off ones I knew I had.
Yeah.
And the other ones that I didn't know, I just left them blank. So I highlighted, and then I started going through my collection and pulling out the stuff so I could rip it over to the iTunes so I could listen to it in my car without having to keep swapping CDs and stuff. So, and I was getting down to the wire, because we done put this thing off for a couple of weeks now, and I've been like farting around and trying to finish it up, and then changing
Oh yeah,
albums
mine got
too.
changed a lot.
So I was listening to Slave to the Grind, and I'm like listening to it there on the computer the other day, and the wife's like, "Is that part of your homework?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And she was like, "Well, I hope you add that into your list." And I was like, "Well, it's a good one. I don't know that it's going to make the list, but it's a good one." But it didn't make the final.
I
cut.
figured
But
it would make somebody's. I mean, I couldn't see
it was
just
going to
being
be
out
it
there.
was going to be a contender. It was up there on the list, but it just didn't quite make it. So, so I guess that's my pick. I went with the Black One, that album that nobody ever talks about, that
Yeah.
didn't sell any copies or anything.
Yeah, that's not even, usually I can say, what's my big line? How can it sell all them copies and nobody own
Yeah,
it?
yeah.
I can honestly say, how can it sell all them copies and everybody does own it?
Yeah.
Now I'm to the point, like, who don't own it? It still sells like crazy,
Yeah.
and it's like, who don't own it?
Like some
Black
people
album.
must have bought it 5-6 times to this point. I mean,
Yeah.
That's right.
to sell that many. But yeah, I mean, and like I said, I tried my hardest to leave it out, but I couldn't.
All right, so my final, and as everybody knows, I'm a Motley Crue fan, but as everybody knows, I'm also a Kicks fan. That was the year Hotwire come out, and I could listen to that album every day, all day long. I love it. I mean, Kicks did a block of 3 really good, great albums, with Midnight Dynamite, Blow My Fuse, Hotwire. And just, that's where I'm going with number 1, and that's my true number 1. Hotwire, I think, was the best album come out in '91. It's a pretty steep challenge.
For
but,
me, I was going to be a contender too, but for me, it had like a couple clunkers that just didn't have the power, the staying power. I guess it is.
It's a good album.
It was a good album.
Yeah. My number 1 was the Black Album. I mean, like we've talked about it.
How do you not
to
add
me?
it?
To me, 1 is there's not a bad song on it.
It's not.
2, it took them. It really put them
yeah.
into stardom.
Oh,
like,
it's- yeah.
I mean, it took them just out of heavy metal into like a mainstream.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
it really did.
look at Tech now. They're opening
Yeah,
still
that's what,
saying.
yeah.
I mean, nothing else matters. I mean, there's just nothing bad about that album.
Elton John said that Nothing Else Mattered, one of the best songs ever wrote. Elton John told.
I used to. That song was just okay when I first started hearing it, and then I forget. I don't know if I was in my car or what, and I was cranking it. And like the louder you listen to that song, and when it gets to the solo,
Oh yeah.
I mean, I'm like that. It blows you away. It blows you away. But yeah, I mean, from just beginning to end, in my opinion, that was the best album
That's good.
of the year.
Yeah.
All right. This one didn't make any of your all's lists. Symbol of Salvation. That's
a good album.
That's a freaking solid album.
That's a good album. You ever listen to that?
I'm not the biggest Armor Saint fan. I've listened to some of their stuff. I can't say I've listened to that album.
Travis
Check that album out.
Travis Rogers
solid
let me listen to that. Yeah, that's a great album.
Yeah, I mean, there is so much great stuff on that. That was one of them. I think that might have, because I didn't have much of their stuff until I started hanging out with you guys. Y'all were getting me and all this different stuff, and that was one of probably the first album that I ever heard of them.
That's way.
And wow, that's a heavy hitter right there. And I'll go back and listen to the older stuff. That album there, the staying power on that one is huge. It's a great album.
But when we was in school, though, really the only people I remember, Darren Dove was big into him.
I don't even remember that. I remember Darren being into him real
But
big.
he's like really the only one I remember that even.
It's one of the bands you heard about but you never listened to.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So they couldn't have been too bad if you heard about them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When they released how many albums? I mean,
Oh god, yeah, they've been still putting albums out. I mean, they're still around.
yeah, their new album is really
Oh,
great.
Yeah, it's damn good.
I mean, for music being released right now, yeah, they're still. But you was talking about the Black Album replaced Use Your Illusion 2 on my list. And like I said, Krabby's album, Scream, replaced Psychotic Supper. But these were, if you go back and listen,
I should have brought my list where I started scratching everything through. 'Cause I was
Well-
writing stuff down.
yeah, because my first one was XYZ, Armored Saint, Rat Child America 3D, which is an awesome album, LA Guns, Holly Vampires, and Ugly Kid Joe. But see, that's
That's
why.
the only album that stuck it out.
And that was like, but it was like he said, then you got into the albums, and it's like, how do you release the Black Album? Then I had my list down here where these were the ones that were probably going to be on everybody's list. And see, you got the Black Album, Slave to the Grind, Use Your Illusions 1 and 2, Nevermind,
Now-
10, and No More Tears.
And-
I didn't put Nevermind. Down. It was a good album. Don't get me wrong. But that's what snuffed.
Yeah.
All this stuff, and that just kind of
Well,
aggravates me. So I didn't
was
put it
kind
on
of
there.
the same thing, and that is a good album, but it wasn't good enough to beat out these by any means, in my opinion, anyway. And then Pearl Jam's 10. That's a solid album too.
I think
man.
10's
Yeah.
better than Nevermind.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
10
Oh
is
yeah, I
good.
would totally agree with that.
Even
That's-
Flow with Jeremy.
Yeah. Oh, that's just
But it's just, I'm kind of like,
same thing.
laying back there, it's, I mean, I could say, well, there's room for everybody.
Well, but then again, too, if I had, I mean, when you're looking at a list
Oh,
of
yeah.
all of these, I mean, it's kind of hard to see it's washed out. But anyway, there's like 3 pages worth of stuff. And there's, I would say, well over 70% of it is stuff I've never even heard. But of the stuff that I actually own, like, if I'm going to pick stuff out of it, that wasn't going to be even in
Yeah.
the top 10. It was not even going to be there. So maybe top 20, but not top 10. So it definitely wasn't going to make the top 5.
But there's 2 albums he's talking about that I probably still play the hell out of, that we eliminated from, was Rats 8191. If you want a good greatest
oh, yeah.
hits, it's even the bonus track, Nobody Rides for Free, is awesome.
That was in what movie? That was in a movie. Point Break. Then Point Break, yeah.
And one of my favorite, I've got 2 favorite Motley Crue songs, is Wild Side, Primal Scream.
Primal Scream.
Primal
Decade of
Scream's all
Decadence.
Decade of Decadence.
I mean, like just going through, I pulled out everything that I knew wasn't even going to be a contender, and I must have forgot to take that one out because I don't even know that one. But this is just stuff that I had that I owned, and like Dangerous Toys, Hellacious Acres, solid album, great album. War Babies, self-titled.
Now, like Temple of the Dog, but Hungry was the only good song on there,
Yeah.
in my opinion.
Yeah, and see, like The Scream, like he picked that one. That was a great album. The Badlands, Voodoo Highway, great album.
That was a good album.
There's a couple other ones.
Anthrax.
Yeah,
That was a
technically
compilation.
That's a compilation, but Metal Church, Human Factor, great album. So, and that I was looking at that album as being one of my picks too, but
Well, even Mr.
Indeed.
Biggs lean into it.
I never got into Mr.
Yeah,
Big.
I was never
I
big.
was never a big Mr. Big
I'm
fan.
not a big fan of their first album, but I like that one.
Kick Tracy. I
Yeah.
just saw that. Kick Tracy. I like Kick Tracy.
Danger, Danger, Screw It.
I mean, there's a lot of albums.
I mean, Blood Sugar Sex Magic.
I wasn't a big Chili Peppers fan.
I'm
They're okay.
I'm not a huge fan of them. I like several of their hits, but I'm not.
Yeah,
a
that's
big-
the way
I wouldn't travel a long distance to go
wouldn't.
see them.
I might go see them just to see them.
That'd be a bucket.
Yeah,
list,
it'd be
just
like
to
one of those
see.
bands. Like if they came around and it worked out, I would go see them. I wouldn't spend a huge amount of money to go see them, but
Right.
if they came close by
It was
and the
on a
ticket price
festival or
was
something.
like something like that, and the ticket price was decent, I'd go see them. So
All right, so comment section, leave your top 5, or just even your favorite album to come out in '91. But did you realize how much good stuff come out that year?
No, when you first said it, I was like, I don't even know if there's that much stuff in '91. And then when I started Googling it and writing down everything, I thought, well, this list is.
It'll be harder. Than you
I thought 5 albums in that would be cake,
Yep.
and it wasn't. I mean, you really had to take a look at the songs on the album.
yeah.
I mean, that's what.
That's what I mean. The whole clunker thing. Like if it had 1-2 bad songs on it, it was gone because it wasn't going to compete.
Because there was this competition was that stiff.
Yeah.
I mean, for me, and I'm a Guns N' Roses fan. I consider myself, and not to have, two. They don't have 4 albums or 5 or 6, but I only consider 4 albums, and not to make my top 5 as much as I like Guns N'
Well,
Roses.
that's to be in another video.
Yeah. Well, that's true too. Yeah, we got a surprise coming up with Guns N'
Yeah.
Roses. But yeah, comment section. Anything y'all want to say about '91?
This was a hard one.
No, it was
really
fun.
a hard
It was
one.
hard and fun.
But it was hard. I enjoyed it. They had to do a lot of research and took me back to a lot of albums that I hadn't listened to for a while.
Yeah.
So
And I liked all the participation.
Yeah.
On the Facebook group.
Yeah.
What it also did was when you went back and looked at those albums, is you listed some songs you haven't heard in a
yeah.
long
Oh
time.
yeah. Because
You
like
know,
I said,
you're
there
like,
was a
dang,
pile
I
of
remember, I forgot about this song. What a great song.
Yeah, there was a pile of them that I hadn't listened to in many, many years.
But then there's
it's
some.
good.
But sometimes they don't age well.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You remember it being really good, and you're like, oh,
Well, and then that's why I
Might
like
not
a
be as
lot of
good.
them. Like I pulled probably upwards of 12 to 15 albums that I pulled back to put over on my iPod, and like this song's not that great. And it was like I don't remember this album being this. I don't want to say horrible because it wasn't horrible, but it had that many songs on it that I really didn't care for. And it's like, well, that one's definitely out.
Of course, we had a CD. That's when we got into. It wasn't like tapes.
Yeah.
You got into CDs. You could skip tracks.
Yeah.
Tape, you had to listen to the whole thing.
Unless you had those cool tape players where you could fast forward,
Oh, no.
but it like skip to the next song.
Yeah.
It
Oh,
took a
yeah,
minute.
shut off.
It
Yeah,
would
they found
recognize
the
pause.
that pause,
Or
yeah.
the blank
forgot
space
about
in
them.
between.
Oh yeah, if you had one of them in your car, you had something.
You were big time.
I remember I had one.
I had one of those.
I never had.
When you first got it, it's like, man, like you were something.
Oh yeah,
you were showing off.
Yeah.
and unless it didn't have much of a gap, it was one of those ones where if you had like
Oh,
it
live
bled
album,
over,
you
like
screwed.
bled over to another song, yeah, you were screwed on them because it sucked. And I want to give a big shout out to Little Wing. He sent us these shirts, great shirts.
And Mike's
And he
getting
hasn't
this
got
stuff.
his package yet, but he's got a package too. But he forgot to bring it, but he's got one.
Yeah, he's upset with me right
So
now.
thank you, Little Wing. We love you, buddy.
Yep. Thank you. We're coming.
We're coming.
Jerry's already making plans. I
Oh.
think we're coming to Japan.
It's gonna be a minute for me, but
All
I
right.
definitely want to come anyway.
Yep. Leave comments. Thanks for watching. Subscribe. Facebook group.
All that
Taco
good
Bell
happy
show.
shit.
Everything. Stay safe. Stay strong.
Hey.
Hey, love, love.
Yeah, that's right. I'm just